guys? Welcome to Nerd Hour. So today I want to talk about cryptocurrencies, what they are, and how they work. So before we explain how they work, let's start with the what they are. Now, cryptocurrencies are essentially a cryptographic virtual currency that is, in a lot of cases, and in the cases that I'm going to explain, decentralized. So, for this to make sense, I'm going to reference the first cryptographic currency, which is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is absolutely phenomenal. If we look at our growth from when it initially started back in 2009, it was like dirt cheap, right, for a Bitcoin. Now 2013 we have $135, and as we proceed, you can see the value just keeps going up, right? In September of 2016, $575 ish, around there. And then it just skyrockets in 2017, right? We're thousands and thousands of dollars for a Bitcoin. So $6,000 or $6,021 US, okay, for a Bitcoin right now. What I'm going to explain is where this all started out. So it all stems from inflation with fiat currencies and everything like that. So a lot of people are getting fed up with the tax system, how everything is centralized, how it we get taxed multiple times, and we also have inflation that is creating a lot of issues for us. So every year there is a 2% inflation on everything that we purchase, right? So whether that be milk, that be gas, that be any of our foods, any of our services, anything like that, right? So it's up 2%. And the other issue is that our money is being worth less the longer we have it, right? Every day that goes by, our money is worth a little bit less. And the reason why is because the government is always printing more money, which devalues our money. And also things are getting more expensive, right? If we look at our statistics here and we look at historic inflation, right? In 2000, we can see that inflation was 3.2%. So everything went up 3.2%. And 2002, 3.8%, right? All the way up until now, we have averages of about 2% of inflation. So now that creates a lot of problems for people, right? Because things are getting more expensive, we're not making more money, and our money is being worth less every day. So I'm sure you can see the problem there. It makes things really difficult to live a happy and enjoyable life. The people that are living those lives are making a lot of money to offset inflation, and they don't have to really worry about that. If things get expensive, it doesn't hurt them, right? Because they're producing music or whatever it may be. So, but for middle class, we need to figure out how we can stay afloat, right? So, people got fed up with that, and then what happened was cryptocurrencies were essentially developed. We wanted a decentralized currency that had its own value, that was liquid enough to liquid enough to get fiat currency, and still have a decentralized currency, where the only hand in the pot is yours, right? Right now, with the money in our bank accounts, there's several hands in that pot, right? Not just yours. And if you're like me, you don't like that. You like your money in your own wallet. That's it. Nobody touches it. The only person that can access it is you, and that works. Okay? So, cryptocurrencies were developed. And they started out with Bitcoin in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. So he went ahead and he developed this technology and said, you know what? I think if we go ahead and we create a blockchain which has the transaction details, a hash pointer to the previous block, and a timestamp built into it, then we should be able to have a secure method of transferring this currency and also keep it decentralized, right? So now how that works is we have several computers here. So like hundreds of thousands of computers that are basically verifying these transaction details. So if we start here, this is the first block, right, for Bitcoin. Now, Satoshi was doing some mining, and he got 50 Bitcoin as a result of that, and it created this block, right? So this block now creates this link backwards by adding in a hash pointer, right, to reference, and it also has the transaction details, so from this Bitcoin wallet to this Bitcoin wallet, and then the timestamp. And the best thing about this and the blockchain is that it's essentially a publicly viewable ledger system. Any information that's transmitted in relation to these details is publicly visible, right? So that if there's any discrepancies, we can always view it and challenge things that way. So I'm going to move this aside, and we're just going to take a look. Just going to take a look at that. The Genesis block is what they call it. So if we take a look here, we can see 50 Bitcoin. We can see the hash, right, that yielded the 50 Bitcoin from mining, and I'll explain that afterwards. And we can see the previous block, so the first block, the hash, the pointer, and then we can see the next block afterwards because it's linked in there, of course, and then so on and so forth, right? So the point here is that it's publicly visible and that it was deemed acceptable by the consensus of all of these computers that are viewing these transaction details and assuming that they're correct based on majority, right? So that is essentially how the blockchain works. Now, this happens at every chain all the time, thousands and thousands of times a second, right? This is going on. And so that is essentially how it works. Now, you're probably wondering, well, if the transaction details are viewable, well, I don't want people to see me sending money from here to there. That's kind of like a violation of privacy and this and that, right? Well, here's the best part, and this is why the blockchain is so secure, right? This is why it's widely adopted. Let's take a look here. So you have a private key and a public key for your Bitcoin wallet, right? For this example. And your public key is listed in the block. So everybody can see your public key, thus it being public, right? Then you have your private key, right? Which is your password that you utilize to access the funds in your wallet, right? So now I'm just going to use a password here. Okay, so if this is my password, this is my private key. This is the key that I use in order to access the funds in my wallet. Now, if you're looking at this key, an attacker or thief would have to guess the series of numbers, letters, until they got that exactly correct. Now, in order to crack that password, right, it would take a specific amount of time. So we're going to take our password here, and we're going to test it quickly, how difficult this password really is. Okay? So there are 64 characters, right? We have 25 uppercase letters, 39 numbers. Okay? And let's just scroll down a little bit here. We can see that it's a really secure password. Now, what I'd like to know is how long it would take to crack this. Okay, so now you can see I've entered the password here, and we can take a look at how long it would take to crack that password just by guessing it. Dictionary attack, just to guess this password in order to steal those funds that are in your wallet. So I've never even heard this number before, or sorry, this word. 3 sesquicentillion years. Like, that's mental, okay? Nobody's going to be alive for that long. So, point is, your information is secure, right? Your wallet is secure. The only thing that they get to see is your public key, right? Which everybody gets to see just for reference and confirmation, right? The other computers on the network need to be able to verify these details and state that they're the same, right? So now in this example here, we can see these red lines, right? Now that is the identifier that they agree that the information that was present in this transaction is correct. They all say, yeah, it's all correct. We like it. Keep it on the blockchain, right? Now, let's say there's this rogue node, right, that states, hey, you know what? This is invalid information based on the timestamp, right? The timestamp is wrong on this transaction. Well, since the consensus is that it's all correct, this one node has no say, right? So, which is great. It means that in order for an attacker to adjust information on the blockchain, on the open ledger system, they would have to have more computers than the majority amount, which is stupid. There's so many. They would have to have more computers than that, and then they would have to come to a different consensus in order to adjust information on the blockchain. Okay, so what that essentially leads to is your funds in Bitcoin are extremely secure. 2, your hand is the only one that's in the pot with your Bitcoin. No one else's hand is in that pot. Okay, 3, you can send it wherever, whenever, and it's incredibly fast. Your funds, like I can send funds from here to Africa in probably 20 minutes. If I were to do a bank wire, it would probably take me three weeks, maybe 4 weeks, right? Which is unrealistic if you have family on the other side of the earth, and they need groceries on their table, you know, like right now, right? And you're probably wondering, how do they use Bitcoin to put groceries on their table? Well, that's the wonderful part about Bitcoin. A lot of places are actually accepting Bitcoin. I know here in Manitoba, we actually have Bitcoin ATMs. I can put cash in, receive Bitcoin. I can cash in my Bitcoin and receive cash, right, to buy goods. There are other places, especially in Europe and everything like that, that are, you know, accepting Bitcoin as a method of payment, right? I know G2A, which is a popular sale service for video games and such like that, they actually accept Bitcoin now for payment for games, right? Which is really fantastic when you think about it. So the point is Bitcoin's developing incredibly fast, and a lot of corporations are, grabbing onto this technology because there's so much, like, it's really secure. But not only that, there's lots of processing power in the network that can be utilized to solve mathematical problems, further studies for, we'll say, cures for health, right? So to get a cure for cancer or something like that, they've been utilizing networks such as these just for their raw processing power to solve the mathematical problems that would take them, 10 or 20 years to solve. Now they can solve it in seconds, right? So there's a lot of really game-changing things going on here with Bitcoin, right? And that is essentially what Bitcoin is and how it works, how you secure your funds, and how your information is secured. So it's it's really fantastic. It really is. The next video that I will go on to create will basically tell you how I've made money with cryptocurrencies in general, not just Bitcoin, and how you can do it yourself if you'd like to try. If you guys have any questions about the video content covered today, just leave them down in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And as always, likes are always appreciated. So with that, I will leave you guys to your thoughts, and as always, stay regular.